Yes, guys, what's going on? Specimen here today, bringing you Royal Guard deck. But it's not just Royal Guards, because we have polarized this deck to the maximum. There's so many gold cards in this deck. We're just doing an absolute number on the ladder. We're on stream right now. Twitch.tv/Specimen Gwent. So if you don't know the Royal Guards, they're basically like the old Reaver Hunters from beta. Idea being you play one, and then the more you play, the bigger and badder they get. We use our mobilization, leader ability to get even more. And then we've got things such as reinforcements and the wonderful, the beautiful, the best Queen Adalia for even more. We also run a necromancy, so if one dies, we can replay it. And basically what you're looking at doing is getting big, fat Royal Guards. But that's not really where the only part of the deck, because we've got points everywhere else. And we achieve this by putting in loads of 4 provision cards. So it's a big tip when you're building decks. If you've got like 5, 6, 7, 8 provision cards, ask yourself, do I need this card? Or could I just include more 4s to get these big gold cards in? So just to demonstrate how many 4 provision cards I have in this deck, I'm gonna show you the 4 provision cards. 2 Maulers, 2 Enchantresses, 2 Ballistas, 2 Royal Guards, 2 Cutthroats, and I'm using 2 Centurion Knights as well. Now, I had 1 Centurion Knight, 1 Quadrenny Knight, but I'm tempted to try 2 Centurion Knights because I think you can set it up with the Cutthroats, the Ballistas, and the Maulers. I think you can get away with it. And a lot of the time with this deck, you're actually going to want to assault for other cards, and I'll get onto that. And this card can just see like a little bit of a brick. So look, we're already, look at the amount of 4 provision cards. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of our cards are 4 provisions. But mate, they're all good cards. They're solid. They do a job. You might notice that we've got Ballistas in here. Oh, why would that be? Well, since you asked, that's because we're playing Siege, obviously. We're running an Aeromancy and Assault as well, because that's what you always do. And we're running Draug. Like, look at the polarization. We've got our Scenario, which unfortunately, I hate them, but they're very good. In terms of provisions per points, like, they just get a lot of points for their provisions. And obviously, people run Heatwave, but they're also going to be tempted to Heatwave our Centurion Royal Guards, etc. So if they're Heatwaving our Siege, you know, that means they're not going to be Heatwaving our biggest guard as well. So that's something to bear in mind too. We're also using a War Elephant just to polarize the deck even more. Now, the War Elephant comes in because it's a siege engine, so it works with our siege. It's going tool, just like our Royal Guards as well. So we're not really going to get punished for going tool with one card because we're going very tool with lots of cards. And Draug, of course, is going to work because we're playing lots of humans. As you can see, loads of humans here. The Centurion Royal Guards are humans. The reinforcements, the Adalia, they all work together. Now, we've still got 20 provisions left. Chat's going to have to help me out because I'm going to forget another card that I've got. I'm not using any of these. In at 10, you might be thinking, oh, especially you're going to whack a Heatwave in. No! I've just decided to like have no real control options at all. Just do our own thing. You might think, especially you're going to use a Defender as well, right? No. No, we're not. One card I can remember that is definitely in the deck is the Surrender. So this card's a little bit of a weird inclusion. But the reason we have it, when I can find it, is that... Why do we have this card again? Yeah. The reason we have the Surrender is because what you end up doing in round 3, if you've got all your cards, you'll play War Elephant, Draug, and then you have to play another card. You can't play these 2 last, because this has an order, and obviously Draug, you want your Revenants to actually get value. I know the last 2 cards, by the way, I've remembered. And what Surrender does is it just gives us a last play that we can make and get a lot of value. It helps line up things for Draug. It does well against Swarm decks. The other option would be Sabrina, but obviously Defenders, it's just awkward. Sabrina's going to be really bad round 1 and 2 when you haven't Drauged, whereas Surrender is always at least half decent. And this is the key card, Double Frigate. A staple in Northern Realms of days gone by. Less popular. Do not sleep on this card. It still just carries the deck. Like, you can commit a frigate and it just powers you through. And also the frigate is like this little bit of a link between Siege and Draug, because it's playing humans and also it's a siege engine. Similarly, War Elephant, you need soldiers, which we've got in abundance, and it's a siege engine. So in terms of like our siege engines, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which might seem like not that much. Sure, but we've got reinforcements if we need to. We've got necromancy and Adalia if we need to. Added to that, we've also got 2 echo cards that can tutor out that siege engine if we do need it. So there's no real danger of not cycling through your siege unless you misplay, miss mulligan, etc. So yeah, this is the deck. Obviously, polarized to the absolute maximum with so many of these 4 provision cards, and then just very carefully selecting our other bronze cards. The Centurion Royal Guards get a lot of points for their provisions, as do the frigates, and then these sort of mid-rangey cards, these obviously work with our Royal Guards. The Surrender I'm not in love with, but seeing as we're, you know, not really removing many units from our opponent's side of the board, apart from with the Centurion Knights, like, you're just going to get a lot of value off this card. It's very rare that you won't. And yeah, let's get into some games then, son. Chat, stop bullying me. Allow it. That's how I always talk. I always keep this level of energy up for all the streams. Never dip. This is the energy for 5-hour streams, 8-hour streams, although recently they've been 2-hour streams. We're on 2 hours 53 minutes. It's like a record for the last month, I think. But our MMR's doing pretty well. We're like 2,450. Let's see if we can win a game. Up against Overwhelming Hunger, we're going first. Don't forget to smash that like button. True. If you could not smash it though, if you could just calmly, politely caress it, that would be much more appreciated. Okay, so the Centurion Knight with ballistas, etc. is pretty good for dealing with thingamajigs. Now, the concern we have is Manticore Maruna, right? There's not really a good way we can play around it. I guess we could Adalia something to start off with. Usually you do want to Adalia Royal Guards. Don't really want to commit Royal Guards round 1. Kick the Cutthroat. Let's kick the Cutthroat. Mauler's okay to start with. Let's kick the Necro. I should have kicked the Necro sooner. Now, the concern here is obviously like Maruna, etc. I'm going to lose on even, right? But equally, I don't actually have a card that I want to Adalia here. It's a bit of a stinker all round. See what happens. If our opponent's going to invest Maruna and lead a charge, like, we might just have to accept that we lose on even. Just always scary going against Overwhelming Hunger. I would have liked a frigate or something that I could have Adalia'd the frigate, to be fair. But I don't want to Adalia any of these other cards. Like, we don't really want to use this card anyway. So, let's see what happens. I think having 2 Centurion Knights in your hand is not something you're going to want. But otherwise, this would have been a Centurion, Kedweni Knight, and you never want one of those in your hand. So, a Striga comes in, kind of sad. Again, not the deck you want to be matching up against, to be completely honest, when you're going first. We might just accept we lose on even, honestly. Like, the hand's kind of pants. Just play lots of 4 provision cards, lose on even. It's honestly rare that you're going to get done like this, though, because you've got, like, assaults, etc. We'll go for the ballista next, I suppose. Do we pass on 7? We won't pass on 7. We could have, like, threatened to pass by, like, going for a tactical advantage or something. Denied that, I guess, too. But we won't pass on 7. We may as well just play some of these 4 provision cards, right? I've also wasted a point of damage on armor, but yeah, we're just going to lose round 1 on even and keep these cards. Definitely not the ideal start to this video, but what can you do, mate? I think honestly I'll just dump this card as well. Is that enough? Can confirm it is. We'll just dump this too, whatever. Not ideal. We'll pass now. And we'll see what our opponent does. If they go for their siege, this is a weird play. The Foglet now. With the leader, that's super weird. Never mind. I think basically what you're supposed to do there is make sure you play around Striga and just accept if they've got Manticore. Because then at least they're investing a leader charge as well, right? Is this song worthy of going in the copyright-free playlist? I'm not convinced. It's a very prestigious playlist. Only absolute bangers get there. Maybe just ditch the Enchantress, honestly. Okay, so we've got double Royal Guard with Adalia. We've got reinforcements. Why didn't I play AA first round? The reason I didn't play AA is because I sort of assumed that we would lose round 1 already. So this way we play AA. If we defend the bleed, then we've got AA for round 3. Would ES? What's ES? I'm pretty sure. Excuse me, we just go like the daily. We can surrender this as well, right? Next turn. Engineer solution. I don't think so. We can assault now though, right? We just assault for a frigate. But otherwise, we wouldn't want to be using our assault this turn. Basically, I assumed that I was going to lose on even. Is surrendering worth it here? Yeah, but we may as well wait a turn, right? It's only Oberon that would mess this up. If you're anticipating you're going to lose round 1, and you're going to get bled round 2, you kind of just want to save assault. And look, already, that's gone. So siege is going to stick now. That means. Fortunately, we don't actually. We can't proc siege this round, right? Which is quite rare. But obviously, I've used my assault and played quite a lot of siege engines. Well, I played 1 siege engine. So we're basically going to try and avoid using this for play everything else. So let's just go a Dahlia into a Royal Guard here. And we should row stack for Draug too, right? What's our Nero most likely going to be this round? Reinforcements, right? Now, obviously, you get your most points with this leader by doing it like before we play this next one, because you don't get the deployability off this. But also, we'd like to try and save our leader if at all possible. It's only going to play. It's not going to play for that many points, so in later rounds. So Haunt comes in. I think we just say we trade leader for Haunt. And now we will surrender this. Because Haunt can proc it twice. I think it's worth it. It's kind of slow, but we can invest leader, as I say. The concern is if our opponent goes all in, this siege is looking very dodgy. Very dodge. So we will leader here. And we're ahead. The Sintra and Royal Guards doing their job. The concern is definitely, you know, this siege is looking super awkward. But we still have Assault plus an Nero for round 3, no matter what, right? Yeah, we just try and stay ahead, that's it. This is playing for 14 points, as is in Neuromancy. Which isn't enough. So we could just dump siege now, potentially. Nah. I guess we just keep playing these. Never mind. You can't win them all, chat. But we still have Draug and Siege. Who knows? Crazier things have happened. What's our worst card here? I don't think it's Reinforcements. I think it's actually probably... Maybe it's a Cutthroat. Maybe it was an Adept. I don't know. Let's see. Draug plus Siege. Cutthroat's such a bad card. I disagree. It's 6 points. If you can play it proactively, you can use it in the front row for 6. I like the card. I'm a fan. Okay, so our Siege is going to proc. We want to play around Maruna here, right? We just accept we can't play around Manticore, which maybe is what I should have done round 1. And our Assault, we want to be this frigate, right? Our Nero is War Elephant. Yo, Mond. I think we kick this. Mauler. There's nothing worse than a Mauler in the deck, right? So we may as well risk it. Necro's pretty good. So we need a card to be our last play. This is our second to last play. I guess Necro is probably our last play on a Cintrian Knight. Plays for 6. It's kind of bad still. But it's definitely our best last play in it. We should just siege straight away here, unfortunately. Unless... Yeah, I think we should just do it. You can use it to cut down vitality. That's also true, yeah. The matchup you think it's really bad and you cut down vitality on hammer drides. Cutthroat's decent. It's a 4 provision card ultimately. Okay, the Manticore was in the deck after all, so like what can you really do this whole game? Go second, basically. What we could have done. Obviously, be more skilled and go second, mate. Come on. Yeah, it's just everything's a little bit awkward here. Maybe I should have gone front row. I don't know, mate. Everything's a bit awkward. This can happen with your Draug and War Elephant and Siege. All the ordering's a bit dodgy, but we might still be okay. We'll have to wait and see. So move this down. Bang. We could go for Siege Elephant now. We kind of want to get this pocket going, but this is the thing in the War Elephant. So there's also an argument to include one of the Veil cards. Do we care about getting this frigate going? Do we care about Draug that much? What do we care? We probably, if we really evaluate it, Draug is probably the worst thing. We should probably value other things over Draug, right? But then again, I'd have to play a Cutthroat back row. Okay, we did have a roll guard. I just couldn't see it. Let's go. Fine. It's not ideal. Like, our Draug's kind of useless here. This is what I'm saying about, like, having an option with Surrender. I think it would have been more... Maybe we just misplayed by committing our Assault. We should have just gone for a Siege round rather than... I should have gone for... Basically, I think I should have gone for Siege before the Frigate, but then the Heatwave would have hit our Siege. So I don't know. 6 of 1. Okay. So we just Draug the front row, unfortunately. Draug, 7 points for 13 provisions. That is broken, mate. Please nerf. So, with this deck as well, don't be afraid to like Draug early rounds, early game. A Plumard! Or as I like to call it, the Plumard. Did we still do it? Look at the points. Who needs Draug, mate? Who needs Draug? You've got a Siege Elephant and Siege. Who needs Draug, lad? I mean, they're going to eat the Werecat anyway, right? They actually just got more points off the Thrive. We got it! Right? Look at this extra 3 points they got off Werecat because of the Thrive. Let's go! It all went wrong and we still won. Is Draug worth? I think so, yeah. Maybe not. Maybe Draug's not worth it. Maybe Draug is what's wrong. Siege is definitely worth it, right? And the Siege Elephant. I could see the argument of kicking Draug, actually. I could get behind kicking Draug. It's something I'll experiment with. Potentially. Because if you kick Draug, you could also kick Surrender, right? Okay, Commandos. Voimir instead of Draug. Nah. Think of that downgrade, son. If we were going to kick... I don't know what we'd do. There's like some other things you could include, right? Like Alabor maybe, but I mean Draug is Draug is just nuts card at times. Just wins you. You can also force people out of round 1 with Draug. I think don't be afraid to commit Draug round 1. Maybe I shouldn't be playing a frigate against Foltest. That's what they want you to do. Or do they? Maybe they don't. Surprised they didn't let us get a volunteer spawning. Curse of Corruption? Is that what these decks run these days? Try again. Sod it. I'm not convinced this is correct. Because they can get the Vernon Roach to spawn. But, I mean, they've literally given me the opportunity to do this, so... Whoa, Redenian Knight. Are there other decks than Blue Stripes? I don't think so. I'm just going to risk it, mate. I feel like they wouldn't have Curse of Corruption straight away if they had Vernon Roach. I'm basically giving my opponent credit. Because they wouldn't have made that play if they had Vernon. I'm saying my opponent is good. Spoiler alert, they're not. Sorry, opponent, but come on. I'm also bad because I shouldn't have made the frigate play initially, but when I made the first play, I'm like, I may as well just go for it a second time, right? We can still drag this round though, right? So I think we go for Enchantresses next. So we go Cintrin Enchantress to go on the frigate, and then we Draug, right? Eight points for 4, this one. Very nice. That's also where Reinforcements has another good target in a Dahlia. Don't find ourselves doing it very often though, because obviously Reinforcements is so many points on Royal Guards. But we'll just Draug this. Your flash. No scouts? True, yeah. Hope you well. 8 barrel scouts. There's always some. Trying to get their engines going. We'll just Draug. Pretty sure we still win the round with Draug here. Wait, who gifted you a sub? Must have been Joe last night. Joe or Larry. Yeah, problem with Draug is it doesn't actually get us ahead. This is so sad, chat. Maybe we just kick Draug, huh? Ha! Do we win down a card? Yeah, I think we do. I think we're still supposed to play Draug. I think we still win this game down a card. Our opponent doesn't pass. Which could suggest that they agree with my thought process. I shouldn't have clicked the frigate there, right? Trolling. Could have also just used one more to deny the pass. Ah, this is so sad. I'm playing like a bit of a muppet. But this is, again, the thing with Draug. Maybe Draug is bad after all. We've played loads of games with him and he's been doing fine, but always important to assess. Don't think this is going to get us out. It's worth a try though, right? We're just going to lose on even. Nice. It's a shame we've gone first against like these kind of decks that can just punish you so much. But it is what it is. Boymegon's nice. Not actually enough, but basically we're just assuming our opponent's not going to pass. And we try and get another good card out of them. We're basically bluffing, right? And then they end up playing like a really nice card. But as you can see, the Frigate and Draug, it just interrupted each other. What's the... Oh, thank God they actually passed. What? Weren't supposed to do that. We won the round! Easy. We've still got Royal Guards and Siege, mate. This is fine. It's all going to plan. Reinforcements might be gone. Adalia might be gone. Let's not talk about that, though. Kind of hard to kick any of these cards, isn't it? They're going to be a card down final round with no Draug or Adalia or reinforcements. Rip. Good thing we have a boring old scenario to carry us. Yeah, ladder would have done a job there too. True. I did have ladder in the deck originally. Nice draws though, still. So what's Assault pulling? Probably a Centurion Knight. Surrender off a Nero, right? Oh no, we want to find one of these two cards. And Necro as well. We want to find Necro. Okay, we find Siege. This is a Necro or Siege. Honestly, we could ditch a Royal Guard to try and find one of these two cards. We just Assault it. Let's risk it. Doesn't happen for us. Oh, we actually needed this though still, right? We just basically downgraded our hand by a point because we would have assaulted for this, but never mind. It's probably Draug from our opponent as well, isn't it? Does this deck need Igni? I did think about running an Igni or something like that. That's crossed my mind. Definitely an argument. Heatwave comes in on the Siege. Bit sad. I mean, we still trade up massively on the Heatwave. That's just very, very sad now. Alright, in comes the Scout. We'll kill the Commando. Deny some revs if it is in fact Draug, which I'm assuming it probably is. We should Assault first for this Royal Guard. It's going to be taller and more difficult to kill. Usually you're supposed to wait on this. You think this one's going to survive. I could have left this. If this gets Beckers, we feel really bad, but I don't think my opponent... Maybe my opponent does run Beckers. In which case this is a misplay. They don't run Beckers. Reinforcements here. We're still in it. We're fighting. Our last plays are a lot of points. War Elephant. We're 2 points down. But they have a card up. Do they have a Selkirk? Boiling Oil? That's bad. That's not good. Super late as well. Maybe we're okay. There's a chance we've won. There's a chance we've won! Is it Draug? Surely Draug comes down already, right? Guys, did we win? Guys. Look at the power of the siege, the war elephant, and the necromancy! So my royal guards turned into revenants from Draug. So how many points do we lose by not taking surrender? This is a dub, right? The Voimir last card. This is a dub. Right? 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 Yes! Woo! Never in doubt. What a rush, mate. What a rush. I mean, like, if you look at the deck, like, it's been played quite poorly by me, but, like, the points from the Siege and the War Elephant and the Royal Guards is nuts. I think there's an argument you could kick Draug. Maybe you'd lose Surrender too. And if you were to lose these two cards, well, what would you do with the provisions? Well, that's a good question, mate. You could, like, as Foggy suggested, just, like, run a casual Igni. I don't think that would honestly be the worst idea. Obviously, you could put in, like, a Heat Wave plus something else, but we've got, like, no removal anyway, right? Maybe it's just, like, a good, honest Regis. It's not. Spoiler alert. But, like, you don't want to just... You could say, well, Space, you could improve some of these 4s for 5s, but why? These 4s just all do a job, mate. Unfortunately, we can't put a 4 in and a 17. It doesn't work like that. But what else would we like? Varaxus. Cyana for the deploy. I was confused when I chose Necromancy. Yeah, I mean, I was going for a Royal Guard, right? But it'd been turned into a Revenant. Alzur is what this deck started off as. It's not going to be Alzur. You could put, like, a good, honest Uridin in. Honestly, like, you could actually just put a Uridin in this deck, right? I guess the issue with Uridin is Siege, and Uridin isn't really the combo. But it's gonna be something big. Like, you could keep the Draug as well, right? Not Natalis, because we're already running Nero. Heatwave and Baron. Yeah. Does he have that? He doesn't have that many points though. I mean, it's probably the thing is you include Heatwave, but what's the point? That's like our only bit of removal. So that was my kind of philosophy of not including it in the first place. I think honestly, like, an Igni would be pretty reasonable. I also just think, in fairness though, that Draug is good still. The other thing you could do, right, is you could go for a... What was I going to say? I remember. Oh, a Unicorn. I don't know. I'll play around. For the moment, it's Draug. And I'll upload another video if we improve it, if we change anything. I think having Surrender as the last play is kind of nice too. I don't hate it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I'll keep playing around with the deck and I'll bring you another deck if I do change it. If you guys like the video, make sure you subscribe on that, innit? If you guys have got any suggestions of what we could do if we were to lose Draug and maybe Surrender, what we do with the provisions, Please let me know. I'd be interested to hear. Obviously, Heatwave makes a lot of sense. But yeah, like a Lambert. Like, we could do a lot. Like, just include some fun tech cards, right? Surrender has been really good. It has to be said. Surrender has been really solid. So, yeah, there's lots of things we could do. Let me know in the comments. What would you do? Would you keep Draug? Would you replace it? Yeah, I'll upload another one. Because this deck's been really fun. I'm going to play a fair bit of it. And we've barely lost with it, mate. Like, we're actually coming really well with it. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Shout out to Gravesh for inspiring me to play some Royal Guards. Much love to that absolute geezer. Adios.